Okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Create with Chris. Today has been a whirlwind of a day, so we're trying to get everything together. We have new software, but Lindsay's manning all the questions, so I have no doubt everything's under good control. She's able to wing it and come through with flying colors every single time. Today, we're going to be doing something totally different. So if you are new to Create with Chris, thank you for joining us. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. We usually try to do something a little different and bring some new techniques, things that you can take into other areas of your painting world. We have been frantically getting ready this week for our Wicked Warehouse sale next week here at our store. So if you haven't made plans to come and visit, we have so many fun things lined up. We have the amazing Linda O'Connell is coming, and she and I will be doing make and takes and demos. So you can come and pick our brains if you have questions about techniques or just want to come and paint with us. It will be a great time. We're going to have sales throughout the store. You can load up, get all your Christmas shopping finished early, or at least get all your Christmas supplies so that you can start getting painting early. So we have a lot going on. Tomorrow is semi-pro painting with Jen. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I told you it's a crazy day today. And then Thursday is semi-pro stenciling with Jen and Lindsay. So make sure you come back for that. They always have some fun new projects lined up and some new ideas and techniques that are always interesting. And it's a good way to spend your afternoon, just stopping in and seeing what's new. We have, let us know where you're from.
We've got Joyce joining us, Glenda from Indiana, Sharon Schott from down the road, Linda is here.
So I told Lindsay, I said, I just kind of overwhelmed with everything going on. So bear with me today. The project, I usually try to have the project painted up ahead of time, but today we're just going to wing it. So you get to paint with me with my creative thinking as we create this project. I don't know if you are familiar with our Convertibles line. Jen and Lindsay came up with the idea of the Convertibles, and I took it apart. This is it's a 14-inch, Lindsay?
Yes.
14-inch round plaque, and then you just stick Velcro on it. So you can swap the section of 3 different sections. Is there one back there?
The hey y'all's behind you.
Hey y'all. Oh, I lost hey y'all's bow. But you just pop the sections off. And they do stay on there really well. And this is just those Velcro dots. So you can stick it on your door, but you just take them off and change out the sections, and everyone Velcros on. And then you add a little bow at the top. And how adorable is that? And it's so nice because you don't have all these big, bulky pieces to try to store in between holidays. Okay. If it falls down, we'll know I didn't hang it up correctly. So anything else, Lindsay?
Judy has joined us from Tennessee, Patrice from California, and Lisa from Massachusetts.
Oh my goodness, we're cross country. Welcome everyone. Are we ready to get started?
Let's start.
Okay. This is my 3-piece section. And again, this fits on the 14-inch plaque. And I got this idea from Jen. And she said, oh, why don't you do something on the Convertibles? And I said, yeah, I should do that. And she said, get the Jingle All the Way stencil, and then you can put a Santa in a sleigh. I'm like, okay. So this particular, on our Convertibles line, we have stencils that are made just for the Convertibles. This was one that we have in our regular stock, but it would look really cute. So I'm just going to fit it into this middle space, and because I think it's going to work out really well, Lindsay went ahead and put it into the convertible section. So if you just want to shop the convertible sections, there's a ton of stencils, for all the different holidays. I think this is just such a genius idea. So,
And it should be noted that the convertibles section is 50% off now through Thursday at 11:59 p.m.
oh, did you hear that? 50% off.
So
That's a great savings.
that discount will be applied in your checkout. It is an automatic discount. So now is the time to stock up because 50% off, we don't do that much. So
No, that's
definitely stock up.
Did I approve that?
Yeah, you did, yes.
Okay. Whoa, that's a great deal.
But also, if you're coming for the warehouse sale next week and you want to take advantage of this sale, you can always do in-store pickup. So
buy it now and pick it up next week?
yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I thought this would be kind of cute to put the jingle at an angle. And that way it's just not straight across. So I'm just going to tape it on because you have to, if you don't want your stencils to shift around, if you ever have problems with stenciling, shifting is a big issue. And that's something that is just a real simple fix. Anchor it down. That's how easy it is. Using my spectacular stencil brush, if you're not familiar with my brushes, they have a really soft bristle. I am not the world's best stenciler, but I have found out with my stencil brushes, they make me look really good. Okay, now I could take another piece of tape and kind of tape this off so I don't get paint in these other letters, but I have trouble with tape. So I'm just going to use my painter's pal, just lay it over there. It kind of masks it off. Getting a little bit of, and I'm using black chalk paint. I love the chalk paint. And I did base coat the background with chalk paint. It's super opaque. I only put one coat, guys, of this white on. It's just that awesome. I'm just going to wipe the excess off on my paper towel, and I'm just going to gently dry brush this. This black is so thick and creamy, not just the black, but all of the chalk paints are just delicious. They go on so smooth and creamy, and you can see, I mean, how long did that take? Look at those edges. They are just perfect.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that the chalk paint, you can stencil with it. And I've done it before too. It's really just as good stenciling with it as the other one, except actually better coverage. So,
and I think because it's a little bit thicker body paint, a big part of having problems with stenciling is when it runs underneath the stencil and you don't get that clean, crisp edge. Because these are so thick and creamy, it's going to be perfect. And I don't even have to worry about it. Look at that. Is that gorgeous? Oh, I love that.
It actually doesn't even look stenciled on camera. It looks like it's vinyl.
It does. It just looks very professional. And I'm just going to pop all the way in here on this side. I want to make sure that my edges are kind of equal. At the same time, I don't want to get into my lettering. So I'm just going to take a minute and clean my stencil off so I can see through. And it always, you know, you try to wing it and think you're good enough that you don't need to clean it or.
And notice that she dipped her finger in water and put it on there to clean it.
I did. I want to be able to see through where that other lettering is. I'm going to lift that tape up. I want to make sure that everything is in place and they're not going to overlap. And I do want this to be straight. I'm going to bump that down just a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, the A is almost touching the other letters.
It is. We don't want any touching. Okay, I think that'll be good. And I'm taping this down, but I'm not going to go into it's not really wet paint, but it's not really dry either. Get just a little more paint. And I'm probably squirting out about a pea-size bit of paint because, and I can't reiterate this enough, this chalk paint is so deliciously thick and heavy-bodied and opaque that it will be absolutely perfect. I don't need a whole bunch of paint. I can just, And I'm just doing, everybody does it different. I'm doing a very light swirl. This is not heavy. If I go too heavy, it'd probably push it underneath. So I'm just doing a light swirl. And you can see with that, just that little pea-sized bit of paint, I have plenty on my brush. Kind of go this way and that way. And I can see a little white edge in the stenciled area if I know whether or not I've covered it well. Okay, drum roll, Lindsay. Oh, how cute is that? Isn't that pretty? And I've got some other things I'm going to do with that, so hang on to your horses till we get there. Just going to let this kind of dry for a bit. Debating whether or not I want to connect these little bridges. I probably will. I'm going to think about that. Sometimes I like to, and sometimes I prefer not to. I think it's going to depend on how the rest of it turns out. So I found this stencil. This one is, I don't even know what it's called. Try dashing through the snow.
Yes.
Okay. I thought this would be fun to put on here since we're jingling all the way. Jen said, oh, it'd be so cute to have a Santa and a sleigh. And I thought, well, this one will be absolutely perfect. But I don't want to just stencil it. I want to do my painting thing. And, you know, you don't always have to do a stencil like a stencil. So I'm just going to take it to the next level. And I'm trying to figure out what color I want to stencil this. Basically what I want. Do we have this color in the chalk paint? Probably not.
No.
Okay, I'll just use this. This is raw sienna. The reason I chose raw sienna, if you look at most oil painters, when they start out, they usually base coat with raw sienna. This gives you a really nice base. If I try to paint on top of this black paint, it's just going to really soak in that color, and it's just going to take layer after layer after layer. So I'm thinking, and I haven't tried this yet, so we're doing this together, just going to start with raw sienna. And because I'm using, this is Americana acrylic paint, it's just a little, not as heavy bodied as the chalk paint. I'm going to just tap it because that will give me a more opaque coverage, as opposed to swirling is almost like dry brushing, unless you're using the chalk paint. And I just had a little pea-sized amount of acrylic paint. You can see the difference in the quantity of paint that I use compared to the chalk paint. Chalk paint is a really good value because it is, you use so much less of it.
A little goes a long way.
A little bit goes a long way, absolutely. So if you're just looking to base coat, without a doubt, you can't go wrong with the chalk paint. You're going to be thrilled with how beautifully it covers. And I always tap it on a paper towel just to get rid of that heavy bits of paint on the tips of the brushes. Because when I pounce, if they're still there, it's going to run under the stencil. And I still want to maintain that clean, crisp edge. And I'm doing everything. This is just going to give me a really nice, I guess you could say I'm doing this in lieu of tracing a line drawing. I'm going to go for my third little puddle of paint just to get a nice base coat on this. What's kind of fun about the stencils is you really don't know what's going on with Mr. Santa Claus. In my mind, I've got a few ideas of how I'm going to paint him up. But he can be coming or going. Is that a good thing? He can be facing or looking away. And I'm just looking for an even coverage. It doesn't have to be solid and opaque, but I just want to make sure that I eliminate any blotchiness. Just kind of like that. Okay, let's lift it up and see. So now I have a really good outline of what I'm going to paint. Let me give that a little bit of heat here. And I'm using the Heat It tool. If you're looking for an excellent drying implement, this is just perfect. It's quiet, dries quickly. It's super hot. I always put my hand down. If it's too hot for my hand, it'll be too hot for the paint. You don't want to scorch your paint. Just gonna do that. Okay. So let's start with, I was going to start with a reindeer because I thought they'd be easiest, but let's jump right into Santa here. I just want to define my spaces. Picking up a little bit of baby duck and probably I never can find my number 2 radical round. Does Jen have one here?
Yeah, hold on a minute, her brushes are kind of.
I try to put all my angles together and all my liners together, that kind of thing, but
Isn't it?
my radical round slot is empty. There's always a screw in here. So this is the decoration on his sleigh. You find it? Okay. Definitely have an overkill on the size of this. Whoa. I don't know about this, Lindsay.
You want me to go grab you one?
A brand new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with a brand new one.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Not saying anything about Jen's brush maintenance, but you know. Oh, wait a minute, Lindsay. I found it.
Okay.
It's kind of poofy. Sorry, Jen. I'm not making fun of you, but you need to get down in those bristles and get that paint cleaned out.
She doesn't use that one much.
It's really nice. All right, we'll just put the. I think this is a trim on the sleigh. And we'll just make that. I'm going to make it gold. I'm going to bump up to my number 5 for this larger area. If you've not used my radical rounds, they have a nice little sharp point on them, a big old fat belly. You can do nice line work. You can use it to do fine detail, and you can press it down. I almost use it like a base coat brush. And we'll just get a little coverage on that. And I can make up my own decisions on how I want this to look. I want to straighten that up. And one thing nice about having a black background, if I don't like the way it looks, I can go back and touch it up. And it looks like there's some little decorations on there, but I'll go back and I'm thinking that the sleigh is going to come over and go down and right up there. Just want to define that area. Okay. And I'll let that dry. Now that I know where my sleigh area is, I can work on my Santa Claus. To me, this looks like a little present back there. I know I'm going to have a lot of red, so I think I'll paint that little present. We could go green or blue, but I have green here, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of foliage green. Foliage green's a little bit brighter than Hauser light green, and I think for a Santa Claus, it just gives a little more, I don't want to say cartoony, but a little brighter results. And we'll just, this is my new, fantastic, fabulous flats. They're just a little bit longer. They have really nice chisel edge on them. They hold their shape for a very long time. They're absolutely wonderful to work with. And you can load them with a lot of paint. Okay, we got Santa here. I'm thinking he's going that way. So I'm going to face him. I'm going to have to touch that up. I got paint on my hand. Boy, last week I got a lot of paint on, or last time I got a lot of paint on everything. I want to brighten my Santa up. I'm going to use, I just go with my angles. I love painting with angles. I just have a lot of good control with my angle. And we'll just put that on there. I'll put that, he's got that present on the other side. Got his little arm here. And this is working really well with that raw sienna. That was a good choice. And I just want to brighten up his little shoulder and sleeve. And I left a little bit of wiggle there because that's where his hair is going to come down. Or I can put fur there, I'm not sure. Might put a blanket down there too, I don't know. We'll work on this together. I think he needs green mittens. Just using that same foliage green. And I'm going to paint his little hat. Melon. And I could probably use a lot of different colors, but I'm trying to keep this as just a little bit traditional. I know for a fact if I put these bright colors on black, it would just soak them in immediately. Would not get much of a brightness. It just really sucks all that brightness out. Let's make this sleigh. Melon. And this is where you can clean up those edges. And actually, once you use a stencil like this, it doesn't take much to clean up the edges and add design. That's where all the skills of decorative painting come into play. And it doesn't have to be time consuming. I'm all for creating projects that look really nice, but actually don't take a tremendous long time to create. You don't have to tell anybody that. You can let them think you worked a very long time on that. I think this is going to go right up to that runner. Just going to brighten that hat up just a little bit. He has a face, but boy, we're not going to be able to see too much of it, but I do want to get that in there. Got a little bit of warm beige. That's kind of my go-to for skin color. I'm going to try with my 1/4 inch angle. It's probably a real overkill here. Can you see his little nose? And that's just his little forehead. Just trying to block those colors in. And trying to let everything dry and kind of jump around. This is what I do in my studio at home. Just kind of play with things until one area dries, and then the next one I can jump to and don't have to wait. I'm not real patient, so I want to make sure that my painting time is very productive. There's a little moon up here, so I'm putting a little bit of a highlight on that package. And if this were a closer detail, I would probably put more detail in that, but we're kind of distant, so I'm just going to allow that to be just a little bit. not detailed, but not a lot of detail. See, it doesn't take much to just pop that in there. I'm trying to decide on his beard and all of that if I want to. I'll put a blanket over his leg. He's cold. He needs that little blanket there. Trying to decide if I want his beard to be gray and then have white in it, and I'm thinking that would look better. I'm going to give that a little shot. It's kind of funny when it's at this point, it looks pretty sad. By the time we get finished, it's going to look great. At least in my mind, it's going to look great. A little bit of watermelon slice. It's my favorite Christmas red. Just brings that nice Christmas color in. I'm using my 1/2 inch angle. I can really tuck the toe of that brush into those little areas. Smooth that out. My paint is not wet, but it's loose enough that I can move it around for a considerable length of time and blend it together so that I don't have any brush marks. And that way I know when I get ready to go back and add the second coat, I don't have a lot of work. I can just very easily jump in there and add that second coat on, and it's going to blend very nicely. And that's what you want to strive for. Don't create more work for yourself. Try to get your paint on smoothly and evenly with each layer. And you think, well, this is just the base coat. But boy, that base coat will make a world of difference. Okay, let's go ahead and do Santa here. Not really being too fussy about where the highlights are at this point. I just want to get this nice red base. A lot of times what I'll do is let that lighter base coat create a lot of the highlights. But because this has been so dark to begin with, I think I'm just going to build that up. And you can see how much darker this area is. Does that show up, Lindsay?
Mm-hmm.
That's on the black. But that's where his blanket is. And I'm just going to let that kind of work because I'll have shading down there. And we're good on that. Just hopping around from my angles and my radical rounds to fill those in because the hat has that little tiny tail on it. I'm going to just jump down to my number 2 radical round. Not real crazy about the shape of the hat, but I think it'll end up being cute.
Well, it's also blowing in the wind too.
That's true. Very true. I don't know if you've used the salted caramel or not. It's one of DecoArt's newest colors. It really has a nice rich glow to it. And it's over top of this baby duck. It's really pretty. Just going to use that to top coat the rails on the sleigh. And I believe the salted caramel, it leans a little bit to the translucent side. So if I thin it down, that yellow is going to really glow through. And I'm putting this on now so that I can shade around it without getting into the gold. Just a nice smooth line. It doesn't have to be. I should jump up to my number 5 for this, but I have that in my hand and it's nice and loaded, so I'm just going to stick with it. Just want to make sure, especially since this is a little bit translucent, it will show brush strokes. So I'm trying to make sure that my brush strokes all go in the same direction and it covers it well. And I think I'm going to have to go back and touch up. There's some parts of the stencil that I'm not a fan of. Then I'll just make them go away. Isn't that a pretty color over that yellow? Very pretty. Okay, he looks a little pasty. Just going to brighten his little face up a bit. Oh, never mind, it's right here. Slate gray, good. And let's go with deep burgundy. That's my shading color for my Santa red. Using my 1/4 inch angle, just going to start floating a bit of that into those shadow areas. And I know his little arm is going to have it here on the bottom and probably behind his hair. Trying to keep this not real detailed, but enough that makes it look impressive. There will be a tiny little shadow right below this rail. And this, I'm using my 1/2 inch angle just to float a pretty heavy line. I want that to be very strong. The back of the sleigh is going to be a little darker. I'll just float that around. And probably should bump down to a 1/4 inch angle for that bottom. Everything's still movable. And I try to work the area while it's still movable so I can blend my start and stop lines together. Just going to go back with that melon, kind of highlight the top of the arms a little bit. That way it's going to look like, yeah, he's moving that direction. You can blend it in or you can leave it just a little bit bright. I think I'll leave it a little brighter. I'm going to do a whole lot on that package, but I want it to look festive. So I'm going to put just a little bit of watermelon slice. I think I'll pull from the base of those ribbon up. And then I'll just brighten those tips. They weren't real super bright, so I'm just going to go back and pull some of that brightness back in. A little bit of paint makes a big difference. I know you've got a big old bottle of Snow White over here. I'm going to put the Snow White on. It's going to look excessive at this point, but it will tone down once I add the other bright areas. I really want that to look like the moon is shining really bright on his little arm and his shoulder. Once it dries, it'll be just a little bit softer, but I want that to be strong. You have to have bright areas. Really shows up nicely. Shading and highlighting, that's what it's all about. Let's put a little bit down here on that blanket. Look like it's, I just took the edge of my brush and pulled up a few little folds. And we'll add a little bit on his mitten. Just going to pick up a touch of that celery shoot.
And for those of you who are just joining us, what Chris did was she stenciled the Santa and the reindeer in raw sienna, and then she's going back.
There's the stencil.
and painting on top of it in lieu of a line drawing.
And it'll look fantastic. Picking up just a hint of dry clay, and I need to put some shading in his little face area. And of course, Santa has rosy cheeks. So we'll add a little bit of rosiness on his cheeks. A little bit on his nose. Just going to darken this down a little bit more. So you can see how that's brightened up. Oh my little sleigh is kind of messy here. We will clean that up. I thought it would be fun. Let me see if I've got mine. I could do a lot of different things on the sled to add design. There it is. We have the Sparkle Pal, such a great little helper tool. This is part of my painter's tools, and I am going to stencil with just a bit of, I'm going to use, this is the way the chalk paint comes in the 8-ounce jars. Just going to use a little bit of Snow White to stencil the snowflakes on there. And I think you can see how strong this white is. And I've got some right there. I need to do that. Normally what I do on my stencils, and I should have done it on this one. I like to keep them clean so I can see where placement is, but also I can put that there, and then I'll just take a circle stencil and put over that. Oh my gosh. I won't have to worry about over stenciling and creating a mess like I just did. And let's put one right up here. Maybe right in there. This is a perfect way to mask off your stencils without having to deal with a whole bunch of painter's tape and kind of a mess. So I think that looks pretty good. And I'll be sorry I did this, but I'm going to add some dip dots. Lindsay, tell me to keep my fingers out of it.
Put your fingers in them.
Oh my gosh, I will. I surely will.
Maybe you should hit it with a heat gun really quick.
You think that would be a wise idea? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of shading on light cinnamon. I like light cinnamon. That's a nice color. And I'm going to add just a hint of shading on these runners right here on this bottom edge because they look kind of clunky and messy right now. And I'm just using my 1/4 inch angle for these tiny areas. I'm just staying right up on that toe of the brush. Doing the bottom and the left sides. As I get down here, I'm going to switch over and go across the bottom. And I really was a little messy on that. So this is why I think it's very important to take your time and not be messy, because now I'm going to have to go back and clean up that background in more places than just where the stencil parts that I didn't like. Just going to add a little bit here and there. Starts to really richen that up. Bring it a little more of the gold tone instead of a bright yellow tone. Just on that bottom edge. And anywhere it overlaps. Just take a bit of that underneath the sleigh. And I don't know what these other areas are on the sled that, I don't know what they are. So I'm just going to take some of that black chalk paint and I can just go back and touch those up. If you're careful when you paint this the first time, you won't have to worry about touching it up. But if that happens, these areas where I think they're little decorations, I just don't want those on there. I can make them go away. I could have masked off the stencil, but it's a lot of time to do that.
It's like they weren't even there now.
Yeah, this is such an easy way to clean that up. And if I see some little areas that I like, oops, I went over those. Everybody thinks I'm an excellent painter. You just got to know the tricks. Make yourself look good. Yeah, there's a lot of little decorations down here that I'm not a fan of. So just make them go away. There's one down here. I think they were just intended for a lot more scroll work to be on this runners, and that's okay. You can add them and that makes it look that much more fancy, or you can just make them disappear with just a little bit of touch-up work. And this black paint, I'm telling you what, this chalk paint is amazing. And right there. Okay. I like it to be just a little more delicate, so I'm going back there and just kind of touching that up. See, and I'm happy with that. Okay, looking good. On this ribbon up here, needs just a little bit of a highlight. See how that makes it just shimmer a little bit. And it's hard without much white to make that look like it's not too bright, but it will not be. I want to base coat his hair with a little bit of soft slate gray. Just put a little bit of a he's got a little bit of curls there. I don't want a brown beard. Sometimes that works out well, but for this one, I think he definitely needs to have that gray. And I'm trying to make it a little bit curly. And I want his beard to go down the front. I mean, he has a big old beard. Let's make it go down over his. There we go. That looks much better. Give that a quick dry here. And I want to add some little bit of highlights here on that railing. Make it kind of shimmer. And I'm using just regular Americana paint for this. This is not chalky paint. Trying to think where the light's going to hit it mostly. Not so much sure down here. But we'll go right along this top rail just a little bit. And I'll probably come back and brighten that up just a little bit more. But what a difference that little bit of paint makes. And now let's go back and brighten his beard up. I'm going to do the same thing just with white. And it'll be a little bit darker on this side, but I'm going to be doing several layers. Let me know if I'm not on camera, Lindsay.
You're fine.
I don't want it to look smooth and even. And while that's drying, I'm going to go in with my diverse dry brush. And this is a brand new brush. It's a mixture of filaments so that you get a nice stiff bristle. It's a two different bristle blend. Has kind of a point on it. And I'm going to load it with slate gray, but I don't want a dry brush. This is so versatile. It's a diverse dry brush, which means it is very diverse. I'm going to pounce it on the palette just to open those bristles up. And you can see it kind of spreads them apart. I'm going to tap that on the fur area. Change it from brown to gray. These are super strong bristles, so don't be afraid to really give them a pounce. And that's going to really differentiate the hair from the brim. I want to make that brim come down just a little bit more. And now I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in with a smaller brush for the white. Make sure that's dry. I want to make sure that I have more control. Doing the same thing, just smashing the daylights out of it so that I get a really nice stipple. And I don't want to go over it too much because then it starts to blend. I want to keep that stipple. Effect. Whoa, what a difference that makes, huh, Lindsay? Okay, let's go back in and add a little more detail to the beard. Not much, it's not going to take much, just a little bit here and there. And I haven't put his mustache in yet either, so that'll make a difference as well. And he has to see where he's going, so I'm just going to go in with a little bit of black. I kind of did a little V with a little circle in the middle, just enough to add that look of an eye. And gotta have a mustache. We haven't added any shading yet either, so. But I definitely don't want him to look like he has gray hair. He's past that. He definitely has a nice white beard. The little nose is kind of pointed, so let's go to round that out. Oh my goodness, he's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to get a little bit of, do we have soft black over here, Lindsay? Need some shading on that. Thank you. Soft black is a beautiful shading color, but you have to be very light-handed with it and not so aggressive. Just really starts to pull that shading in there. I can add that in here, just a light tap, tap, tap. A little bit on the pom-pom because it's just going to disappear if we do too much. And just a tiny bit under here.
You got a little bit of dirt on him going down the chimney.
Yeah, we could put some soot on him. If we could put just a little bit here, shadow. Don't forget the little bit of shadowing. And because I used it in a few places, I'm going to add it everywhere, except it doesn't look really good with golds and yellows. So I'm going to back off on that. That really enhances that shadow area, adds that nice little bit of depth to it. And we'll put some back here. It's evening, so it can be just a little bit more shadowy. How are we doing on time, Lindsay?
53 minutes.
Okay. Do we have time to do more?
You can do one reindeer, right?
I can do one reindeer. Let's do one reindeer. Looking for something like cocoa. A little bit of cocoa.
For the sake of time, she's only going to do one of the deer.
Okay, we're going to scooch up on this one real quick here. I'm thinking the moonshine's coming from up above. So I'm just going to highlight the top of those legs and just blend it down. It does not need a lot of detail. So we can go on here.
Oh, his elbow.
I know, I'm not sure how this all looks. Lindsay's more familiar with the anatomy of animals than I am, I'm sure.
You know my rule, though, he has to have an eye.
Yeah, we'll put an eye on him. Definitely.
All animals have to have eyes.
Some light cinnamon, just going to float on his tummy.
He's got very muscular front legs.
He does, doesn't he? Trying to figure out how this is working here.
But I mean, if you think about it.
He's been flying.
Yeah, he's strong. He got to pull that sleigh.
Okay, you got to fly the whole world in one night. You got to have some strength here.
And Santa and that sleigh and all those presents are not light. Look how quick that's coming together.
I mean, he's pretty much finished, right?
Yeah, because you're not going to see much of him.
No.
He's not the important part. Santa's the
He's
important part.
not?
He's an accessory.
Oh, where would Santa be without the reindeer?
Well, that's true. There's his eye.
I did kind of a droopy almond shape. And if I do a black nose, it's going to disappear. So what else we do? Gray. And highlighted it.
Back your head back.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah, I can see the way you did it. I can see like his cheek.
Yeah, you just don't need
Yeah.
much. And I found out the more you mess with it, the more you have to mess with it.
I mean, and that was just that was less than 3 minutes of work on that deer.
Yeah.
And everything is
everything you wanted.
defined. That's the word I was looking for, defined.
Not sure how these antlers go, but that's not bad. Oh, he looks cute. Okay, so that was Toffee.
Which Almondine we're working out, right?
Yeah, is Toffee discontinued?
Yes.
Okay, I was thinking one of them was. I would have went with Almondine.
I don't think we have Almondine over
That's
here.
okay. I want to pull that brighter color in. Oh, he's so cute. Just a little bit on his forehead right there. And what I would do, I probably should bump down to a smaller brush. I want to just bring some detail into those little hooves. For that back leg, for the back leg, I am not sure. I was wondering about just doing a little float of soft black. I mean, you don't really need it, do you? I think that's his little, this is a weird one.
That's his
That's the
back
back
elbow.
His back elbow.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make it look, well, that looks weird. Okay, you know what? If it looks weird,
Just paint over it. You don't need to see it. See, it
does
still
that
looks
look
fine.
better?
It looks
Oh,
fine
yeah.
without it.
Yeah, that looks so much better. Then all we have to do
Put his uniform on.
yeah, I gotta dress him up. So what about, do they have around their neck where they're connected to they have to have a way for this thing to connect. Right?
Yeah. He has a harness.
Okay. That's the fun of the stencils. You get to decide what goes where, and if you don't like it, you get your black paint out and you make it disappear. I better pick the right brush because if I use the correct brush, I just make one stroke. If I don't have the correct brush, then I'm gonna have to go back 2-3 times, touch it up, do this, do that, and everything. I'm just gonna, I think it's the little details that dress it up more so than, it's not hard to paint, but adding these little details, I want to put just a hint of a shadow like underneath this collar and right here. And it just makes it look like that it belongs there. Lay a brush down and it disappears. In lieu of going back and highlighting the harness and the belly strap, I'm just going to take the watermelon slice and just lighten it as I get to the top. That way I don't have to go back and highlight it. The highlight's already there. That one I didn't have much paint on my brush. I can go back and dip dot gold jingle bells. There's a lot you can do to dress it up. Is it dry enough? Oh, how pretty. And I'll do the same thing on the harness. Just grab a little bit of that deep burgundy and pull it in. Add some jingle bells on that. And for the jingle bells, I would just dip dot them. I would not. I'm just wondering if that salted caramel is going to show up on that. It probably will not. My baby duck is a little bit dried out. Keep an eye on your paint. If it starts to dry out, you're just not going to get what you're wanting. I should break down and squirt a new petal out. And I can add some little jingle bells on his harness. Just how darling is that? Aww. Okay. For the jingle bells, I would do the same thing as I did on the runners. Just go back and add a little shading and highlighting. But I wanted to add some stencils or some snowflakes. I think I'm going to let this dry for a minute. Add a few little snowflakes on here. Any snowflakes would work. Any kind of background stencils, snowflakes would be perfect. This is, I think we have quite a few, don't we, Lindsay?
I think that one is Blizzard.
Blizzard.
I think.
I
know the number. 740. Yeah, it's Blizzard. Yes.
And just going to put some stencils on there. Oh, how cute.
And there is also, it should be noted that there is a snowflake convertible stencil in the line too.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's like along the same lines of that pattern.
I should have grabbed that. So if you get the snowflake from the convertible line, it's 50.
Very similar.
Is it 50 off?
50 off, yeah.
See, you can't beat that.
I don't think we've used it yet. I don't think it's.
Oh, I like those. This is the way I like to stencil when I know they're all going to come out just absolutely perfect. And I'm just going to stagger these around. And I really like this one. That's a cute one. Oh, yeah. I should have.
I was going to say, you need one more.
I do. I didn't know these two were the same. Maybe that one. I do like these little square ones. I didn't think I would, but they're really cute. That's cute. Is this one dry yet? I am going to just add a couple more white ones on the black part because I think this would be so cute if my little, they're pretty dry. Yeah, we definitely need some snowflakes in here. Don't want snowflakes bigger than the Santa. But we can go with some pretty big ones. Okay, the true test, Lindsay, is painting the white chalk paint on the black. And I'm pouncing this because I want it just a little bit, even though this is chalk paint that I'm using. I know I want it just a little bit heavier. Oh yeah.
Yeah, not bad.
Oh, how pretty. Okay, I would continue with many snowflakes on this. I think this is really pretty. I should have done a different one. Oh, how cute. I like this one. This one's really a pretty one. So you can get carried away with this, I'm telling you. And I think I would like to splatter snow on this also, because I think that would add a lot of, it definitely would add more delicate designs to it. I'm telling you right now, if I stencil this snowflake that has the black on the stencil, it's going to end up gray. So if you're going to stencil over a previously stenciled part of your stencil, make sure you clean it, because you will end up with a very dirty, whatever was on there before will definitely come off. And I know that from experience. The things you do and you think, oh, I can do it. No. Some things are not worth skipping that extra step. Oh, that's going to be so cute. And I am going to repeat this one because I have it up above. And I think having that one snowflake repeated several times is just, it's really cute. But it's going to bring some continuity in there as well.
You're starting to sound like me when I stencil.
Oh, that's kind of cute, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I thought up here, because I have this cutest little bow, I wanted to put a stencil on each side. So I found out when I swirl with the white over the dark, it's just not as strong, so I am going to go back to tapping. And let's put one over here. Maybe we want two on this side just to be a little different.
So while you're doing that, Mary Ann asked a question about the warehouse sale, about
yes.
make and takes.
Yes.
We will be having make and takes. They will start at 10 a.m. both days. Each one will last, we're allotting an hour for each one. They are $5 each, and it is cash only on the make and takes.
Bring your own brushes.
Bring your own brushes, yes. And then, so if Linda is doing a make and take, Chris will be out demoing, and vice versa. Oh, cute.
This is really cute, isn't it? Should I splatter snow?
Well, you still have to finish the other deer.
I know. I could splatter half. What do you think, guys? Should we splatter some snow just maybe over here?
Do you have your splatter brush?
Oh, I always have a splatter brush.
Oh, okay.
Yes. This is the most amazing splatter brush. I would not recommend chalk paint for splattering because it's thicker bodied and you'd have to thin it down a lot. I'm not sure about splattering, just haven't made my mind up yet, but we'll see. So if I were in my studio and I wasn't sure about splattering, what I would do is put a good coat of the matte varnish on it, ultra matte varnish. Do I have it here?
It's right here.
Oh, okay. Ultra matte varnish. When it dries, it is the same consistency as paint, so that when you paint over it, if you don't like what you want, it kind of creates that safety net. Don't want so much on Santa. Yeah, we needed the splatters, huh?
Yeah, because it's a snowy night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, guys, this is really cute. So what, we spent like an hour,
A little over an hour, yeah.
and it wouldn't take much to finish it up.
Just got to finish 2 deer.
You know what you could do, Lindsay? You could stick little actual jingle bells on the reindeer.
If you got tiny enough ones, yeah.
Yeah, or little rhinestones, like
Oh, yeah, the
silver or gold.
rhinestones, yeah.
I think this is adorable. It didn't take long to do.
So, Marianne, you asked if there was a stencil for Santa. This is the Dashing Through the Snow stencil.
Oh, I have it right here.
And what she did, again, is instead of doing a line drawing, she stenciled it in raw sienna and then did all of her painting on top of that.
And I do like the idea. So here's a good thought. If you are stenciling over a dark background and you want to paint it, go with a very neutral color. Raw sienna, even sand gray, something that's going to be very neutral, that when you paint over it, it's going to allow those colors to ramp up and become very saturated. Otherwise, you're going to paint like the reindeer. How long did that take with that raw sienna? Just like a few floats.
It was like 2 minutes.
Yeah. You know, otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time painting each reindeer. And
the thing is on the reindeer, there is some of the background showing through, but I think it adds to his coat.
It does.
Yeah.
So there again, be careful when you stencil. It doesn't have to be perfect and solid and heavy. It just needs to be even. So there are light and dark places on here, but when I floated my shadowing and highlights, just kind of enhanced it and added to the contour of the deer. Now, I could spend a lot more time kind of fussing and playing around with it, but I really think this is really cute. I would hang this on my door. I would give this as a friend gift. Mm-hmm. This is just a really nice, somebody got paint right there. Black paint. Okay, so watch that when you when you stencil and get paint where it shouldn't be. You can always go back and just kind of touch that up and make it go away.
It never happened.
It's never happened. Because we're all perfect painters, right?
Okay, I'm going to switch the camera.
Super cute. So let me know what you think. I know it's getting close to time where we need to start thinking about holidays and gifts, and this would be so good for a craft show. And with this being the convertibles, you can keep Jingle all the way on there and just pop it off and put, don't we have one that stencil has just jingle bells on it?
I think we do. I'm not sure if it goes the right way though. Or,
you know, just, you could do the rooftops. We do have stencils with houses on them. My mind kind of goes crazy thinking about the different things that you can do. But I really, really like the splattering on it.
Someone asked how they went together again.
Okay, so this one, I lost the bow. I'm not sure.
It's on the floor.
Okay, so here's the deal. Mine's kind of...
Let me flip the camera again.
Okay. Okay, this one is Hey Y'all, but you could do Hey Y'all and put Santa Claus on there.
So what we've done is we use Velcro, and they're little Velcro dots. And
so 3 works really well. And here's the thing, you put the 3 in the same position, and then they will always fit. Mm-hmm. So instead of putting it on here and trying to fit it on here, put your dots on here first, both the smooth side and the hook side, and then position your board on there.
And we find that you could use thin magnets, but we find that the Velcro holds better, especially like if this isn't exposed to the elements.
And
the Velcro is sturdier.
This, I'm lifting it by the piece, so it's not coming off. You really have to pull it off.
Yeah, so the whole point of these is so you can interchange these with the seasons.
It's just genius because you've got one base, you can swap it out for the seasons. It's just such a great idea. Did I have the Halloween one over here too?
I think the Halloween's over in the...
I thought I brought it with me. Maybe not. I did. I don't know what I did.
I don't see it.
Maybe
It's down there.
Oh, okay. I did.
She did.
I have a bad memory, but I didn't think it was that bad. Okay, so.
And again, this whole collection, the Convertibles collection, we don't normally do this, but they are 50% off this week through Thursday evening. No coupon code needed. You just add them to your cart and the discount comes off at checkout.
Hey, y'all, it's Halloween, right? Got a bat on there. Or, hey, y'all. Oh, that's cute, too. I mean, you can just swap them around. Do you remember those? They had 3 sections, and you lifted one up, and it had a coat, and you lifted the other one up, and it had a dress. So you could make monsters or change the snowmen and different things by.
I remember something from my youth.
Yeah. So what a great idea to have these interchangeable. Or you could do Happy Halloween with the cow spots. They are so cute. I mean, you can just change them. I don't like that bow with it.
Marianne, yes. We actually encourage you to play, if you're coming to the warehouse sale next week and you know you have a list, go ahead and put the order in and select store pickup, and we will have it ready to go.
There are a ton of these pieces to the convertibles, a ton of stencils, a ton of backgrounds down here, the middle part. So you could swap them out and create so many different designs. Oh, wouldn't this be fun to give to a friend? And then you could, even if you just made the top and the bottom the same, you could give them like 3 or 4 different sayings. And
we cover a lot of holidays. We just added a Hanukkah one, but there's Christmas, there's Valentine's Day, there's I believe St. Patrick's Day, I believe. But yeah, and it's an expanding line. So.
Oh yeah, we keep coming up with ideas like Jingle all the way. I give credit to Jen for this one because she said, hey, Chris, the only thing you have to remember to start out at the top so your holes line up at the top, and then you can anchor everything else on.
And we even put Velcro on the bow too.
Yeah.
So and then that way you can change the bows with the seasons. But I mean, like black and white is good year round. That's why we chose the black and white, but we actually have different color bows here too.
I love this. I think it's turned out adorable. I would paint this for me even. Maybe I'll keep this.
And you don't paint anything for yourself.
I don't.
She never does.
This would be cute on the door. And you can always go back and connect the letter. I mean, there's so many things you can do to dress it up, but what a fun, easy, quick design. And just think about it. You don't need a pattern. You just stick that stencil on there, and you have all these experience of painting. You may have patterns already. You could do your, just look at a Santa and kind of stick him on there. I was thinking I could turn his face toward us and then, but I think he turned out really cute. So now I'm going to have to take this home and finish it, right, Lindsay?
Yes.
So if you're coming next week, you can see the finished piece. Just love it. I can't wait to go home and finish it. And I was kind of nervous about, because in my head sometimes it doesn't turn out like I think it should.
She was very nervous about this one today.
Yeah, because I want it to turn out well, and I want you guys to be able to think it's easy. And if I start to paint something and end up struggling big time with it, I don't think that's a good impression. So what a fun design. I hope you give it a try. They are now, all the convertible pieces are now on sale, 50% off through Thursday midnight.
Thursday, 11:59 p.m.
And so be sure to get your order placed. If you're coming next week to our warehouse sale, you can pick it up then and save yourself the shipping and still get your 50 off. So take a look at the convertibles line. I think when you go on the website, it's the first one on the left. There's a list of different categories. Be sure to click on that. And I think your head's going to spin with all these ideas. I think you're just going to really enjoy painting these.
And if you do craft shows, they would be really easy to do for craft shows. Like do a standard set and then just paint like the different toppers and just put them in a basket in your booth. And then
you could personalize them.
Yeah, you could.
You could do the middle or the bottom, put their name on it. Golly, whoa. Personalized items are really, really hot right now. So I think that would be a sure winner thing. Okay. Okay, I've talked long enough. Hope you picked up a few new tips and tricks and techniques. Think about using stencils in lieu of a pattern or just to help simplify. It's just such a fun, quick afternoon way to create a project. If you've got kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, they love doing things like this because they're going to turn out really nice. So take a look at the convertible line, 50% off. Make sure you take advantage of that. Tomorrow is semi-pro painting with Jen and Lindsay, and Thursday semi-pro stenciling. Next week, Linda O'Connor is going to teach Jen how to paint on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, we will have a special live. There will not be a live Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay, but we're going to be live here at Covered Distributing, Wicked Warehouse Sale, the 30th and the 30th and the 31st. So
from 9 to 3 Eastern each day.
Okay, so come see us then. Until then, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to our next adventure together. And remember, a little bit of paint goes a long way. Makes a big difference. Okay, I'm out of here. We'll see you. Bye-bye. Good Lord. Oh, Chris.